Hey, it's Jacqueline here with your Northumberland County 2022 market recap. Now, last year can only be described as a year of extreme highs and ultra lows. However, we're getting a lot of questions still from consumers as we try to all wrap our heads around exactly what went on in Northumberland housing last year. And as it's a fairly complicated explanation, we thought it's a great opportunity to bring back, you guessed it, our toddler's toys to explain exactly what went on in Northumberland housing. So last year, we started the year fairly strong with a lot of buyers still coming down from the big city in their buses to buy up Northumberland County real estate. We were obviously still during the pandemic, so the ability to work from home was still there, and people looked to escape the city and experience the lush grounds of Northumberland County. We had over 400 homes that sold in the first quarter of 2022. On the flip side of that, we had relatively low inventory. So during the same period of time, we had roughly about 500 homes that went to the market. As a result of that, we were still very much in that bidding war frenzy where we would see 10, 20 offers coming in on a home, which of course drove the pricing up. So we ended the first quarter of last year at an average sale price in Northumberland County of $870,000, which was an all-time record peak for our local marketplace. Obviously, that all changed. One of the big impacts on that was war broke out. So as we know, unfortunately, Russia did launch an invasion on Ukraine, which very much had an impact not just around the globe, but also in Northumberland County. And you're probably wondering, what is the impact of a war in another country on our little old Northumberland County? Obviously, this led to a lot of issues in terms of people were at a very high emotional place. We were all very concerned for what was going on elsewhere around the world, but it also had that financial impact. Inflation began to rise, the cost of goods began to rise, and it created this overall worry, concern, and anxiety within our community and across the globe. The second impact that came around that same time was our friends at the Bank of Canada, represented by Yoda here, in their wisdom decided to raise interest rates for the first time in 5 years. Now, I'm not actually saying that was a bad thing, as it was very much overdue, as it had been quite some time since we raised interest rates in the country, much of that attributed to trying to ensure that the economy was healthy during the pandemic. So as a result of those two things, they kind of led to a bit of an issue that happened in the market. Overall anxiety, there was a war going on, interest rates started to go up, and what that led to was buyers starting to take a bit of a backseat and not really jump into the marketplace. The impact overall of the interest rates ended up resulting in a 20% decrease in purchasing power throughout the year, which basically means that a consumer that could buy an $870,000 home as of January, by the end of the year would only be able to buy a $700,000 home. Now, another interesting thing that happened at this period of time is people started to get called back to work. So again, during the months of April and May, a lot of people who worked in urban areas started to get those calls that it was time to return to work in person, many of which, including my own husband, weren't necessarily expecting this. Some people, like my husband, decided to then leave the big city banks and start a new job working with us, so we looked out for that. But a lot of people decided to make the return to the city or to put their search on hold and no longer look to buy in rural outskirts area, which meant basically overnight, that busload of buyers from the city, they were gone. The other impact that it had is it started to really concern sellers. During this period of time, a lot of people who had held off on listing their homes during the pandemic because of fear of their own safety, having people come through the house, decided, you know what, now it's time to get my house on the market. They'd also heard about the neighbor Joe who sold his house in January for $870,000 and thought, if Joe can get $870,000, I got to be able to get at least that. And overnight, we saw a flooding of inventory of homes in Northumberland County. During the second quarter, we saw over 950 homes listed, which was a 75% increase in a matter of months. So when I say our market got flooded, our market got flooded. If there was a house on the market, you name it, another one came up the next day. So the overall residual impact of that is that we had a significant increase of inventory at the same time as a result of interest rates, returning to work, rising cost of inflation, overall anxiety in the local marketplace. We had a significant decrease in the number of people who could actually afford or were in the market to buy housing. So as we've talked about before, Housing in Northumberland County and real estate in general, it is always the rule of supply and demand. During the first quarter, we had a lack of supply and a significant amount of demand. Overnight, as a result of those three factors, it switched. We had a significant amount of inventory on the market and a lack of buyers that were able to buy. So over the second and the third quarter, we saw a record-breaking number of homes hitting the market in Northumberland County, and we started to obviously see sales go down as a result. So what happens in that situation is when you have a number of people like this on the market and only a couple of people that are out there to buy, the people that are in a situation where either they have to sell their home, they have a lot of equity in their home, and they can take a bit of a financial loss, reduce their housing prices, and it drives pricing down significantly. So from the peak of last year in January, our average home sold for $870,000. By the end of it, we saw a 26% decrease in our local marketplace, with the year ending at $640,000 as the average sale price during the month of December. Now, it's not all bad news, because overall, when we ended our year last year, the average sale price on average was up about 8.5% from 2021. In terms of the overall number of listings, as I mentioned, they were up quite a bit by about 14%, with about 2,800 listings hitting the market in Northumberland County. And we saw a fairly significant decrease in the number of people purchasing, as I referenced, by about 25%, with a total of about 1,400 homes selling in Northumberland County. So I hope this helps explain a little bit of what happened in Northumberland County last year. If you'd like to have more information or overall how this affected your home's value, please reach out to me anytime. You can reach me via phone, text, or email, and I'm always happy to have a private, confidential conversation to help you gain some insight in terms of your home's value.